bring in our next panelist, and that's David Browne. David Browne is amazing, goes so deep in research and analysis that it's not even funny. We recently hired David to help us with one of our investors, and we paid him to do a kind of a balance sheet view of the marketplace to tell us kind of what's going on in the different channels. And it was fantastic. So Dave, if you want to turn on your video and audio, we'll jump right in. Welcome, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I've been really enjoying the conversation so far, and I wanted to chime in at various points, but I know we have a very strict schedule here today.
Yeah, and I'm already behind, but it's all good, man. We're going to take some time with you. So just to get the ball rolling, you've worked with different kinds of brands, and all the brands are looking at different kinds of retailers, right? So
Right.
What are the retailers telling you about data? And kind of what are you hearing out there around data and kind of that customer view, not just the consumer view?
Yeah, I have a background working for Whole Foods originally, and then I also worked at Spins. So I've seen both sides of the table for sure. I've also worked at e-com as a merchandising director and dealt with brands directly. And, I think what's evolved over the last decade in particular is that retailers really expect brands to be coming to the table with their data, with their market performance, with some competitive analysis as well. Because in some cases, these retailers they may have a good understanding of their category. They may even have done a category review or in the process of doing resets or planning resets. But for whatever reason, they're either underprepared for that particular meeting with that brand on a given day, or they also just want to have an open slate and sort of hear what the brand's perspective is on the performance in the category and how they see the category going and how they differentiate. So, some of these meetings, when I talk to brands who meet with retailers, really emphasize the fact that it's a key opportunity to coming to these meetings armed with data and more than just your own performance at, Whole Foods on a national level. If you're, one of the brands I talked to was meeting with a retailer in the Southeast, and that retailer expected this brand to be coming to that table with other Southeast retailer data so that there could be a like comparison to justify why that product should be brought into that Southeastern retailer. So, this particular brand had to purchase some data in order to do that, because they performed in the Southern California region primarily, and to bring conventional retailer data from that region wasn't going to really cut it for that Southeast retailer. So, I think things have just really shifted in the last decade in particular, where there's a lot more emphasis on data, and you can't just be a brand with a lot of passion and a mission and some of the things that Robert pointed out on these decks that are super valid and super important. But when it comes time to meeting with those retailers, they're really expecting, the numbers. Give me the numbers.
And it's important to recognize, and I want you to speak a little bit to this, that there are different kinds of retailers, right? So Amazon comes to mind. As long as you follow their rules, you're in, right? It's just a platform. If you just do directly business with Amazon, on the other end, there are grocery stores that expect deep dives, right? In terms of data and category. And so there's a big bell curve. Can you speak a little bit about that bell curve and maybe how to think about different parts of it? And recognizing that most of the folks on this call aren't necessarily going to grocery tomorrow, but I have met a lot who have grocery in their future. So it's important to talk about grocery, but just talk about the general differences between the different channels that you see from a data standpoint.
Yeah, well, there's so much. I mean, even on the supplement side alone, if we talk about your brands and the people that are on this call today, if you're going to be marketing to a specific channel, a mainstream channel, a club channel, the drug channel, the entire SKU setup is entirely different. The marketing strategy, slotting fees, distribution, it's all unique potentially to that channel or channels. And then if you're approaching, infra or the natural co-ops, and you're going to be discussing getting in UNFI or KHE for the distribution point, there's going to be that to deal with. So, it is critical to not only map out what you think your channel strategy is, but to really understand the dynamics of how these products, the universe of these products in these given channels. And, certainly today, I gather that many of you are developing an Amazon strategy first, which is fine. But I think when I was talking to Robert the other day, and we were talking about this in preparation. I really, because I come from brick and mortar, and because there is so much good quality data out there from brick and mortar with Spins and IRI and Nielsen, and you can really get down to the item level, price per ounce in a given region of the U.S. I mean, you have to really utilize the strength of that data. Even if the dynamics of selling on Amazon are going to be different ultimately, you have to have a benchmark, a place to start. And it's such a robust universe. That's an understatement if there ever was one, when you're looking at brick and mortar retail measurement services and the data that's out there.